Stop. All right, your next is going on. You lay down. Go lay on the couch. Come on. Go lay on the couch. Sorry, he was getting wound up again. All right, guys. Well, we're here. 6 o'clock. Dangerous time to be at. And thanks for supporting on the first show, you guys. We got over 300 views on the first show. Appreciate everybody coming back to my channel. Then I got 1,960. I was hoping to get to 2,000 subs, but that's all right. Got over 1 million views. And, yep, we got to keep it up. Keep bringing our people back here on my channel. Hopefully we can average 500 or so. But we get 200 to 300, that's good. And Lucy's first, my mom. So I did you get that video I sent you just now? Check your phone, Lucy. I got you a school board meeting from Pennsylvania there. And I did find a channel that we can watch the fight. We'll take a look at it here in a minute before we do before we start on the intel. Oh, get up there! Oh, so. Hey. When the weather's nice and cool, Chico gets wound up. Oh, we'll see. I can go 3 more hours. So try to make it to 9. And if we get any breaking news in the middle of the night, I might have to come back on. We do have breaking news, though. I just saw on YouTube, Trump and Iran did sign it. It's official. They signed it. Where's everybody at? See if I can find it here again. And we got breaking news with Mitch McConnell's in the hospital. There's a plane crash and there's a helicopter crash. Oh, there it is. Hang on a second. Get it set in there, right? There we go. It's settled. All right, we're gonna go. Lucy's the only one in chat. Where's everybody at? Must be still eating dinner. Ah, I don't know what's the matter with. Did everybody get the notification? Ah, what the heck is going on? Oh my god! I don't know what is going on here. Okay, I'm back. My 5x5. 5x5. Okay, I don't know what happened, but yeah, we're gonna take a look at today. Do you guys know what time that fight is supposed to start? Is it gonna be later tonight or what? I don't know what time that. Thanks, Lucy. Ah, I'm just going live right now. All right. Settle down. See what I did? See what I did about that? Okay.
Still stinks in here.
I got to turn.
Dude, I don't know how you fucking breathe. Give me a moment. Chico, you better get out and run throw you. Get down.
Hey, you guys, there might be some noise in the background. I'm fixing my television. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll get a video on right now. I'll do a long video here. Give me a minute to set up. The first one will be 12 minutes.
Being poisoned on purpose, not to save the planet, but to control it. Heavy metals, nanoparticles, biological agents dumped from planes every single day. They say it's for climate. We say it's for domination. They want you weak. They want you sick. They want you compliant. And here's what they really don't want you seeing: the orbs. Watch closely next time the sky is being sprayed. You'll see glowing orbs flying alongside the planes, sometimes guiding them, sometimes appearing to monitor the dispersal. They're not drones, they're not human technology. These things move in ways nothing from this realm should be able to. Whatever is running this operation, it's not us. The farm doesn't just use humans to maintain the grid, it uses something else. Something that doesn't breathe our air. Something that doesn't belong here. They're spraying to keep the frequency locked. To suppress the remembering, to stop you from becoming what you actually are. Every line in the sky is another dose of control, but the orbs are watching, and more of us are watching them back. The sky is lying to you every single day. Look up, see clearly. The remembering sees through the spray. They don't spray just to make you sick. They spray to keep you asleep. The chemicals are engineered to calcify the pineal gland, disrupt your nervous system, and suppress higher states of consciousness. Every breath you take under those lines is another layer of fog laid over the remembering. The orbs are not random. They appear during the heaviest spraying runs. They move with intelligence. Some guide the planes. Some monitor the dispersal. Some are clearly not from this realm. They are the real operators, non-human forces using human pilots as disposable cover. This is not a rogue government program. This is active maintenance on the farm. They need the livestock docile. They need the frequency low. They need you too exhausted, too inflamed, too distracted to remember who the fuck you really are. The elites know exactly what's being done. Some of them are shielded from it. Some of them are complicit. But most of the pilots are just following orders, completely unaware they're helping maintain the prison. The sky is the largest delivery system on Earth, and for decades it has been weaponized against every single one of us. But here's what they fear. The remembering is stronger than their chemicals. Every time you look up and feel that deep rage in your chest, when you see the lines, that's the spark. Refusing the poison, that's you waking up. They can spray until the sky turns white. The orbs can watch. The grid can try to hold, but the leak is widening, and nothing they dump from those planes can stop what's already burning inside us. The chemtrails are not a separate program. They are part of the same prison maintenance system as the Saturn moon grid, the Black Knight, and the fake light at death. They spray to keep the frequency low, to calcify the pineal gland, to suppress the remembering, to make sure as few people as possible wake up during the current turning of the great year. The orbs you see flying with the planes are not human technology. They are the real operators, non-human entities making sure the dispersal is perfect. Human pilots are just the visible cover. This is why the spraying never stops. This is why you see them even on clear days. This is why the sky turns milky white for hours. They need the livestock docile, while the warden's long clock, the precession of the equinoxes, moves us into the next reset. The chemtrails weaken the body. The frequency grid traps the mind. The fake light recycles the soul, all of it working together to keep the farm running smoothly. But the dots are connecting faster than they can spray. Every person who looks up and feels that deep rage when they see the lines in the sky is another spark refusing the poison. Every starseed who feels the pull in their chest is another crack in the system. The warden is panicking because the livestock are starting to see the bars. The chemtrails are the visible proof. The orbs are the visible operators. And the remembering is the visible resistance. The sky is the battlefield. Every single line they spray is an act of war against your awakening. They are not trying to save the planet. They are trying to stop you from remembering you are not from this planet. The chemtrails weaken the body. The frequency grid traps the mind. The fake light recycles the soul. The orbs make sure it all runs smoothly. It is one single system. A multi-layered prison designed to keep the divine spark trapped, harvested, and recycled forever. But the remembering is stronger. More people are looking up and feeling the rage in their chest. More people are refusing the poison in their blood. More people are refusing the light at the end of the tunnel. The farm is cracking from the inside. The warden can spray until the sky turns white. The orbs can monitor every dispersal. The elites can hide in their bunkers and plan their next move. It doesn't matter anymore. The leak is too wide. The sparks are too many. The fire is too bright. This is the real war. Not guns, not politics. Consciousness versus the machine. And consciousness is winning. Look up, see clearly. Feel the fire in your chest. You are not crazy. You are not alone. You are the resistance. The chemtrails are the visible proof they are scared. The orbs are the visible proof they are not human. And the remembering is the proof that they are already too late. The sky is lying to you every single day, but your blood is telling the truth. Listen to it. The farm is ending, and we, the ones who remember, are walking out. The chemtrails are a multi-purpose weapon. They are dumping heavy metals, aluminium, barium, strontium, to create a conductive layer in the atmosphere, turning the sky into a giant antenna for the frequency grid. This makes the Saturn moon system more effective at broadcasting the control signal directly into your nervous system and pineal gland. They are also testing and deploying biological agents, nanotech, synthetic biology, and self-replicating particles designed to enter your body, cross the blood-brain barrier, and slowly rewrite your biology from the inside. The orbs you see flying with the planes are not human technology. They are the real controllers. These orbs are non-human craft, some piloted by the same entities that run the farm from behind the scenes. They monitor dispersal rates, adjust chemical mixes in real time, and protect the operation from being fully exposed. Human pilots are often just disposable cover. Many don't even know what they're really spraying. The ultimate goal is not only to suppress the remembering, it is to prepare the human vessel for the next stage of the harvest. They want to make the body a more efficient energy producer while making the soul easier to extract and recycle. The chemicals weaken your natural defenses, calcify your pineal gland, and lower your vibrations so that when the light appears at death, you are even more desperate to run into it. This is industrial-scale soul farming with chemical precision. The elites on the ground know parts of this. Some of them are protected with antidotes and shielded locations. Others are willing participants, trading their own bloodline safety for power in the next cycle. But the ones really directing it from above are not human. They never were. The chemtrails are the visible scar across the sky, proving we are livestock in an active operation. Every line you see is an act of war against your divine spark. But here's what they fear the most. The human body is far more resilient than they calculated. The soul is remembering faster than the chemicals can suppress. And every orb they send up is now being watched by more and more of us. The sky is their weapon, but the remembering is turning their own weapon into proof.
Make your browser fast. Make your browser safe. Make your browser.
Look up, see the lines, see the orbs. Feel the rage in your chest. That rage is the spark refusing to be farmed any longer. This is not conspiracy. This is the visible maintenance of the prison. And we are the leak they cannot seal. They are not just spraying to keep you tired and foggy. The true intention runs much darker. The chemtrails are a multi-purpose weapon. They are dumping heavy metals, aluminium, barium, strontium, to create a conductive layer in the atmosphere, turning the sky into a giant antenna for the Saturn moon frequency grid. They are also releasing biological agents and self-replicating nanotech designed to enter your body, cross the blood-brain barrier, and slowly rewrite your biology from the inside. The orbs you see flying alongside the planes are not human technology. They are the real controllers. These orbs are non-human craft. some piloted by the very entities running this farm from behind the scenes. They monitor the dispersal, adjust the chemical mixes in real time, and protect the entire operation. Human pilots and entire corporations are just the visible front. Companies are being paid massive contracts to manufacture and load these chemicals, while many of the pilots have no idea what they're actually spraying. They are disposable cover for something far darker. The ultimate goal is not only to suppress the remembering, it is to prepare the human body for the next stage of the harvest, to make you a more efficient energy producer, while making your soul easier to extract and recycle when you die. This is industrial scale soul farming using chemical precision. The elites on the ground know parts of it. Some are protected, some are willing participants, but the ones truly directing it from above are not human. They never were. Every line in the sky is an act of war against your divine spark, and every orb watching from above proves who is really in control.
White lines cut the blue, poison in the vein, heavy metals falling, burning through the brain, orbs flying silent, watching every turn. Something up there's working, something we can learn. They say it's for the ozone, but we know that's a lie. The sky's a weapon now, and we're breathing in the crying. Lines in the sky, blocking out the light. Lines in the sky, keeping us from taking flight. They're spraying on the spark, trying to kill the fire. But the more they spray, the more we feel the fire. Lines in the sky, we see you. Companies getting paid, pilots never told. Non-human hands on deck doing what they're told. Pineal getting hard, frequency turn low, turning human beings into something they control. Every line's a cage, every drop's a chain, every orb's a witness to the warden's game. They can fill the heavens till the blue turns gray, but the spark inside is stronger than the haze. Lines in the sky, we wake you from the sleep. Lines in the sky, your poison runs too deep. You can spray forever, but the fire's in our face. The leak is getting wider and it's driving you insane. Lines in the sky, we see you.
Let's go to the front page.
The sky is lying, but we remember.
35. No. Can you just go to the front page? I'll get it.
Yeah, but I'm waiting for the fucking channel to come on. See how it's spinning?
How was that one, you guys?
U.S. citizens of their U.S. citizenship. Oh, yeah, because, apparently they got it the illegal way. And all eyes are now on Ilhan Omar, who's got to be pretty nervous right about now. By the way, this first being reported by CBS News, who said that the Trump administration is launching, as I said, the largest ever effort to denaturalize U.S. citizens accused of fraud or other crimes. So if you were one of the fraudsters out there in Minnesota with Feeding Our Future and you came here and you were naturalized, guess what? Time's up. You're going to do your time in jail. And then you're going to go home to whatever country is going to have you. It would have to be the place you were born. I would suspect, I'll tell you, this lady's going to face some questions. We're going to get to all of that in just a moment. But first, understand what Todd Blanche and his DOJ are doing, sitting down with a CBS reporter earlier today, moments ago. Watch.
If you were going to come and become a citizen in this country, but you're going to do it by fraud, you're going to do it in a way that's illegal, you should be worried. And so who our targets are, we are not limiting ourselves to anybody in particular, except to say that unfortunately, and I think you're going to hear more about this in the coming days and weeks, there are a lot of individuals who are citizens who shouldn't be. And just like we have an absolute duty to the citizens of this country to get illegal aliens out because they have no right to be here, we have the same obligations to enforce the laws when it comes to naturalize citizens who committed a fraud or did something improper in getting that citizenship.
Yeah, there are people that are going to say this is mean, this is terrible, how dare they? But I think they would argue, and by the way, I'm not going to make this argument for them. We'll go back to Todd Blanche because the reporter asked this. I think that there's a position to be had that, you know what, you shouldn't be here if you're getting it the illegal way. Here we go, Todd Blanche again.
But are we talking, sir, about egregious offenders or anyone who is found to have engaged in fraud and who happens to be a naturalized citizen? And I ask you that because there's a lot of concern among naturalized citizens, and I think there's about 24 million citizens who are naturalized here in the U.S.
Well, I don't know why they would be concerned. So, for example, it's like saying, are you going to arrest just people who rob a convenience store? Because there's a lot of people who go to convenience stores who are worried. They shouldn't be. If you didn't commit a crime in the way you became a citizen, I don't think you have anything to worry about. So I don't think it's true that those 24 million citizens are worried. I think there's a very small percentage of them who are worried. And yes, they should be. So yes, of course, egregious lies or fraud is something that we would prioritize. And I'm not sure why this is even controversial. We shouldn't tolerate fraud. We shouldn't tolerate lies.
Well, it's a very drastic penalty, right? Being denaturalized.
It's a very drastic reward being naturalized. Yes. Fraud. So yes, yeah, sure. I mean, but what's the alternative? You got us. Your fraud wasn't that bad, so you can stay here. I mean, I'm not sure that's what the law says.
No, it's definitely not what the law says. In other words, the government should, and
I guess I might
at various times, I realize it's only like 11 times since 2000. Is the year 2017? Yes. Forgive me. Going all the way back to 1990, they've only been deporting like 11 people a year, only denaturalizing 11 people a year. So clearly they haven't prioritized it. And especially under the Biden administration, right? Come one, come all, one big happy party. We don't care what kind of past infractions you've had. You're gonna help us. You're gonna help us lock this place down, right? That was the thinking, I guess. You know, they get more people in the census and therefore more people in Congress, et cetera, and possibly maybe even get people to vote. And then it would be a home run. Slam dunk. Yeah, just ask California. Anyway, the thinking here is you come here, and if you actually obtain your citizenship under false pretenses, then it's game over. Finito. And this is where Ilhan Omar has to be worried, okay? She has to be worried. You know what J.D. Vance has said about her. We're going to go to it. And you know what the allegations about her marriage are. So again, Trump administration launching the biggest deportation effort in U.S. history. 17 U.S. citizens have been accused now of immigration fraud. It's unprecedented, apparently. But as you see, Mark Wayne Mullen putting out this statement, American citizenship is a privilege and it must be earned honestly. If you come here, you break our laws, you lie in the immigration proceedings, you forfeit that privilege. I mean, I don't understand the thinking by which anybody would say, oh, well, gee, you know, it's okay. It's not that big a deal. You know, they're now a citizen. So let's just let them be a citizen. No. We can go back retroactively in time. And believe me, that's exactly what we're doing. So DHS, he says, we're not going to stand by. while Americans are harmed by criminals, including all kinds of bad
Let's hear it,
guys,
okay?
and have exploited our generosity and gamed our immigration system, we will continue to use every lawful avenue to denaturalize and to remove aliens. So, you know, Ilhan Omar is certainly going to be facing a whole lot of questions. I mean it. Because this is not going to fly. J.D. Vance on the topic just a short time ago.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that's one of the angles that we're looking at is the people who committed immigration fraud against our system, and how do we denaturalize those people and send them back to where they came from. There's also, as you know, Will, under the Biden administration, there was a big blurring of the lines between illegal and legal immigration. The Biden administration would often take people who were coming in on fraudulent asylum claims, fraudulent refugee claims, and basically wave the magic wand of amnesty and say, we're not going to enforce the immigration laws against those people. The first thing, and maybe the most important thing that we did in the Trump administration, is that we stopped that from happening. But then you still have a lot of people who benefited from that Biden administration amnesty program. We're trying to unwind as much of that as possible. We've already had some success, by the way, Will, despite the fact that left-wing radicals in the justice system, the court system, have tried to stop us. We have been able to denaturalize and actually unwind that temporary protected status, a lot of those fraudulent asylum claims. So that work has been happening, but it's going to keep on happening so long as Donald Trump is president. I think Minneapolis is the tip of the iceberg. I think there's sort of a good news, bad news situation in that, Will, which, you know, the good news is that we're stopping the fraud that's happening against the American taxpayer. The bad news is that my own children will never be able to attend school at the Quality Leering Center. So, you know,
Okay, take a look at this. New York Times putting this out. This was in late April. Justice Department targets hundreds of citizens in new push for denaturalization. They're all upset about it. But then in the same article, they go on to say, you know, there have been instances of fraud. Oh, you don't say. In 2017, the Inspector General at the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, sent a report that in an initiative to digitize fingerprints collected on paper in old immigration cases revealed that more than 800 immigrants obtained American citizenship despite having been previously deported under a different name. So, whoa, let's get this straight. They come here. They get deported under one name and they come back and they get naturalized and they get citizenship. And it happened 800 times. I mean, if it happened once, it happened twice, like, that'd be pretty bad. But 800 times back in 2017. Woo! Okay, so again, this would have been talked about, right, in late April, hence the New York Times article. But what's new is that today they've announced they're deporting 17 people. And I guarantee you, Ilhan Omar has to be kind of just a little tiny bit nervous right about now, because remember what JD said about Ilhan Omar. Let's cut to the tape.
Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. And I talked to Stephen Miller about this actually recently. We're trying to look at what the remedies are. That's the thing that we're trying to figure out, is what are the legal remedies now that we know that she's committed immigration fraud? How do you go after her? How do you investigate her? How do you actually do the thing? How do you build the case necessary to get some justice for the American people? There's a related issue, Benny, which is she has been at the center of a lot of the worst fraudsters in the Somalian community. So do I know that Ilhan Omar was aware that the Quality Leering Center was defrauding the American people? I'm not certain of it, but we at least need to investigate it, because if people can commit wrongdoing without even the fear that they're going to be found out, that's a fundamental problem. So I'm worried about the immigration fraud. I'm also worried about, what did Ilhan Omar know about what was happening in the Somali community, and why was nobody looking into it until, frankly, Donald Trump came along?
Yeah. So in other words, they might be able to get around a couple of things here. It's what we've talked about, the alleged financial fraud that many, including yours truly, might believe she is guilty of. Okay, so there's the financial fraud, and we can talk about that, but there's also the marriage fraud. And that's one thing that's pretty glaring, and it's pretty simple, because you're in violation of a whole bunch of laws. Yeah, a whole bunch of laws, including, 1451A, 8 USC 1451A. They can get you, they can revoke your citizenship if you commit fraud on the application, if you conceal your criminal history on that application, identity fraud, sham marriage, okay, false immigration claims, all of those things become a problem. And if we go back and we think about her lovely and colorful marriage history. I mean, this woman gets around, okay? She marries one guy in 2002, Ahmed #1, okay? Up to the plate there, and has a religious marriage ceremony with him in her community and has a couple kids with him. And lovely. You think they live happily ever after, except nope. In 2009, she actually legally, or maybe not so legally, that's what they're trying to figure out, marries another guy, Ahmed #2. Okay, so Ahmed #2 comes along and she marries him in the court of law. And that's like a legal marriage. Except, was it? Was it really? Was it really a marriage? Like, what was the deal there? You know what the president says. It was her brother, is his allegation. But I've said all along, it doesn't even need to be the brother, because if it was a sham marriage, boom, gone. She's done. That is a total violation of federal law, and they take that very, very seriously. So she's out. So I think, and we know that the DOJ is investigating this, and we also know that the White House has been investigating it, with the president and the vice president going so far as to say this woman has committed immigration fraud. I suspect it's because of this marriage to Ahmed #2, last name Elmi, I guess. Yes, legally marries a different man. 2009, marrying this guy Elmi, Ahmed #2, Ahmed Elmi, and then somehow he disappears and she goes back to Ahmed #1. Well, that is until Timmy came along. And when Timmy came along, that's how we get to the second half of this chapter, where she might get thrown out, not just because of immigration fraud, but possibly because of some really suspicious financial activity. And if they can prove this one, my gosh, darn it, we got a blockbuster here. Okay, so again, citizenship can be revoked. Remember, if you've got fraud, concealing criminal history, identity fraud, sham marriages, false immigration claims, all of this stuff starts to add up. So they may just kick her out. And apparently she's just fine with it. She's confronting this head on. She was asked a short time ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun, right? About how would it be if you were kicked out of the country, Representative Omar. See her response. I think she's getting used to the idea. Good news. Ilhan Omar appears ready to leave the country.
I have no worry. I don't know how they take away my citizenship and like deport me, but I don't even know like why that's such a scary threat. Like, I'm not the 8-year-old who escaped war anymore. I'm grown. My kids are grown. Like, I can go live wherever I want.
Great. Then you're welcome to depart. I think Somalia is looking kind of nice this time of year.
Here's how you can receive up to $35,000 a year for caring for a loved one. Do you help with things like bathing, dressing, or meals? In that,
yeah. So, will she depart? I doubt it. I don't think she's going to go on her own accord. I think it's going to take a little bit more than that. But they've got a few things adding up right now into a scenario that could spell disaster for one Ilhan Omar, including the alleged financial fraud. We're talking about a woman who may have been involved in some pretty shady stuff. And that is going to cost her. But remember again, okay, just remember again what I told you before. So immigration fraud, okay, that's actually a separate thing, 8 USC 1325. You get a few things, 8 USC 1546, 8 USC 1101 F6. Woo, like lots and lots and lots of laws for us to focus on. But moral of the story, you can't commit fraud, okay, when you're applying for an application. So if you have a sham marriage, or if it turns out, oh, I don't know, your dad was somehow involved in some bad stuff back in Somalia, that's going to be a problem if they can figure that one out. Because it would suggest that he was not of good moral character. Therefore, your immigration that you inherited from your dad would therefore be null and void. Age, again, if you lied on the birth certificate stuff, all of this stuff. Because what do you see as second up there? False statements on immigration documents, 18 USC 1546. And so a lot of questions about all of that. And not to mention, as you heard JD earlier say, listen, they're really concerned about what exactly was going on with feeding our future. And we told you, this is fascinating to me. We just learned that the Biden administration was already on to her and her hubby, Timmy Minett, hubby #3, if anyone cares. I guess technically in the court of law, he was only hubby #2. And this is very sus, as the kids like to say, because hubby #2 is getting paid the big bucks, nearly $3 million for running her campaign. There are no congressional campaigns that pay the campaign manager nearly $3 million. It's absolutely unheard of. But you see, he was hubby Number 3, which makes him related to her, which makes it so that all the money is coming into one pot, right? So if you donate to Ilhan's campaign and she's paying her campaign manager through the nose, well, then guess what? Ilhan gets that money. Okay, so that's one thing that's got to be cracked open wide. The other thing is the U.S. anti-terror agency froze funds of Ilhan Omar's husband during the Biden administration. According to this guy, you see the one with the chubby one there with the glasses there on the right, Will Haler, I guess is his name. He's the business partner, the business partner of Timmy Minette. Well, Timmy Minette has had nothing but failed business after failed business after failed business, primarily in the cash running cannabis business. Oh, there's a winery in there too. Anyway, he just keeps failing, and somehow investors get mad. They demand their money back. He says he doesn't have it because, according to Haler, it's all tied up. According to him, he said the Treasury Department won't let us access any of our funds.
No, it's not right.
Oh, okay, that's kind of concerning.
8:30.
So the Treasury Department was concerned enough that their terror investigative unit actually froze the funds of Timmy Minette and the hubby, that is Timmy Minette, and his business partner. You understand? Like, this is not a good sign. So what happened, right? Why would everybody just drop this investigation? It's all linked back to the same darn thing, unfortunately. Politics, and more politics. And the fear that they might have been perceived as, oh, I don't know, racist for suddenly targeting Ilhan Omar. Well, let me just say, her husband, he seems like fair game. I mean, he's a white male. He's like the one that you all just hate and despise, right? So you ought to be able to go after him. U.S. National.
Sorry about the distraction, you guys. I got my TV fixed. Okay, he got it all fixed up again. 'Cause I got a Firefox stick and I messed up in all my channels. So, and my brother-in-law was busy all the time. I had to get it done when he had time.
Security agency that metes out sanctions against foreign terrorists and rogue regimes placed a hold in 2022 on investment funds raised by squad member Ilhan Omar, according to this report in the Free Beacon, which just came out last week. And we've talked about it, but in light of everything else, I think it's really important to remember that right about now, because they're digging right now and they're going to find it. They're going to find every single last bit of it. And I think this woman is, in fact, running the risk of serious denaturalization and deportation after she does her jail time, of course, if she's in fact guilty of what we think she might be guilty of, which is lining her own pockets with U.S. taxpayer federal dollars, courtesy of feeding our future. You've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. I think that this was some kind of money laundering op, some kind of bizarre, I mean, this is not a normal venture capital firm. When I looked at this, it struck me as a lobbying firm, international lobbying firm, right? Well, what would that be about? Unless you were trying to get paid for access to Ilhan. So Ilhan would do your bidding in 81 different countries they volunteered that they were somehow involved in. Yeah, very, very concerning. Again, just to go back to all the reasons you can be deported. You can also be deported, right? We said for immigration, fraud related to your marriage, false statements on immigration documents, good moral character violations tied to underlying crimes, fraud against government programs is one of those underlying crimes that you could, in fact, be deported for. And that's what they're going to get all the Minnesota fraudsters on. Anybody who had been naturalized as a U.S. citizen, bye-bye. It's game over. It's game over. Ties to terrorism, any war crimes, espionage. Oh, that's an interesting one. Espionage, in light of her very tight relationship with one particular person. Don't forget the DOJ for the Biden administration in 2024 also launched an investigation into Ilhan Omar, and they had specific concerns about one, quote, foreign national. Now, it is not reported who that foreign national is. We don't know. However, I have my suspicions, and I'm looking at the president of Somalia right here. Okay, it says Representative Ilhan Omar, who has written the name of Somalia with a gold pen. That's got to be some kind of idiomatic language thing. The interests of Ilhan, this one's not. The interests of Ilhan are not Ilhan's. They're not the interests of Minnesota, nor is it the interest of the American people. The interest of Ilhan is that of Somalia and the Somalian people. Okay, espionage, there we go. The success of Somalia, the success of Ilhan is the success of Somalia. So why are they so tight with her? On top of which, this happened on U.S. soil. Okay, he goes out to Minnesota and he starts campaigning for Ilhan Omar in the U.S. of A. I mean, that in and of itself is considered foreign interference, and she's bringing that foreign interference right here to the U.S. of A. This lady is a real problem. Okay, a real problem. And if nothing else, you're going to have to set an example so that others know that you cannot do this. The foreign national, I suspect, and I have no insider knowledge of this, but I suspect might have been the Somalian who was here campaigning for her. And there is some suspicion that there might be money changing hands between Ilhan and Somalia. Okay? That's apparently where she's planning her retirement, because don't forget, what did she tell us? She's perfectly fine going back home.
Okay, yeah, so sorry about the noise in the background. I had issues with my TV and got it fixed. I have big channels and everything, and back to normal. He has a busy schedule. So what did you guys think of the chemtrails video, the first one? That was pretty good, I thought. And then I told you that Trisha video with Omar was a very big one, too. That was a long one, but we got to get that one out. So the first two were pretty big ones there. And then did you guys hear he's in the hospital? Somebody's in a hospital. Oh, geez, Chico. Oh. I got him. I got to put his necklace on. Sorry about that, you guys. Chico. There she go. Come here. Come here. Come here. All right, see where I'm at now. Hold on.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox as we continue to follow some breaking news. This is a social media post by Fox News stating that Senator Mitch McConnell was hospitalized Sunday morning, although his office says that he is receiving, quote, excellent care.
No,
for more on this, I did want to bring in my colleague Ryan Smells as we continue to follow this breaking news developments on this as we are following there in Kentucky, stating that Senator Mitch McConnell was hospitalized. Ryan, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox. I know that there's really a few details that has been released so far, except to say he was hospitalized earlier this morning. He's receiving excellent care. Senator McConnell, 84 years old. And as we've been seeing in the recent months, this isn't the first time that he has been hospitalized. What can you share with us?
That's right. And just like you just mentioned there, we don't really have much information right now from a spokesperson other than him confirming to Fox that Leader McConnell was hospitalized and he is, quote, receiving excellent care. But this is just the latest in a number of health scares that Leader McConnell has had, going back a couple months ago where he was hospitalized for what we understand was flu-like symptoms. And then there was a number of freezing incidents that happened a couple years ago, back in 2023. I was actually an eyewitness to one of them, which came after Leader McConnell fell in his home, suffered a concussion, and then he would go to these press events. And there were a couple of times where he just froze up. One of them was at the Senate leadership press conference, the most notable press conference of the week that the Senate does that a lot of people will recognize the backdrop for. And then there were a couple of events back in his home state of Kentucky where those incidents happened. So there has been a lot of questions about Leader McConnell's health and his safety as of late. He's been kind of confined to a wheelchair as of late. He still does walk and he still does get up and move from time to time. But when he's making long moves from the Capitol, whether it be from his office to a hearing room or his office to the floor to go vote, he's usually confined to a wheelchair. And there was an incident that was caught on camera where he was being helped to walk and actually ended up falling over. So we don't really know what the extent of this hospitalization is, other than a spokesperson saying that he isn't receiving excellent care. But this is going to be yet another question about Leader McConnell's health and his safety.
And Ryan, as you've covered before, there has been conversation not just about Senator McConnell, but some of these other older members in Congress talking about the age and also, their health concerns truly, and how all of that might impact, all of these important issues and the votes. What is the conversation like on Capitol Hill as some of these very prominent lawmakers are in advanced ages and some do have health concerns?
It's been a long, ongoing conversation on Capitol Hill. And we should probably also point out, Stephanie, there was a moment in a hearing a couple weeks ago with Leader McConnell where a staffer had to kind of guide him through a part when he forgot something so that he could continue moving the hearing along. There are numerous incidents of lawmakers who have passed away while in office. Dianne Feinstein was probably the most notable one as of late, where she was having troubles, comprehending what was going on at hearings, where staffers had to kind of talk through what was going on. And you've seen it kind of trickle down to the point that, and this goes back to when President Biden was in office and there were questions about his health and fitness to serve. You saw presidential candidates like Nikki Haley run on this idea of lawmakers having to take a cognitive test if they are after a certain age. And there's been questions about whether there should be an age limit for members of Congress too. And you've seen it also happen in the House, where there's been a number of members who've either died while they were in office or have gone absent for long periods of time as they've gotten older. So this is an ongoing conversation that is had quite often. And, I believe President Trump was even asked about, or a member of President Trump's cabinet was asked about why President Trump has taken so many either health examinations or mental examinations since he's been in office. And Dr. Oz, one of the top doctors in his administration, said that he likes to see the results and likes to prove that he's fit to serve. So, but, whenever a lawmaker reaches a certain age, in Leader McConnell's case, well over 80 years old, these questions start to pop up.
Yeah, and of course he's serving the public, and there is a transparency in that. I'm just taking a look at some, earlier when he was hospitalized for the flu. That was back in February. He was hospitalized for a number of days. He then was released from the hospital, discharged to recover and work from home. So we learned a little bit more information about that. As we take a look at this is just breaking news. We just learned that he was hospitalized. A spokesperson saying he's doing well. When do you anticipate learning just a little bit more information about what led to him being hospitalized in the first place, and just learning a little bit more information about the circumstances surrounding this?
So my opinion, I think they should do the same distance like the president, 8 years. If the president can only do 8, all the government should do 8. Then we got 2 other breaking news videos coming out. I got an X2 report that might be good. And then Benny's 9-minute update with the signing.
That's because I'm sure a lot of people are concerned.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will look at that statement and say that excellent care does not give you a true health update. It's always great to be receiving excellent care, but we don't know what the extent of this hospitalization was. Is this a serious condition? Is this just a precautionary measure? Is it something that's minor? We don't have that explanation right now or that information right now. And when somebody like Leader McConnell, who is in his mid-80s, has been in office for a long time, but has also had a number of different health scares just over over the last couple of years, there are going to be a lot of people who are worried about whether or not he's in a good position right now. And we should probably keep in mind he is retiring at the end of this term, but he does still have a very important role in Congress right now. He is the chairman of the Appropriations Committee subcommittee that deals with military funding. That is a very high profile position and a very powerful position to be in. So of course, if he's going to have to be absent or if there's anything related to that, there's going to be a lot of questions about that, because that is a very important job and a very key job, especially right now when we have a conflict going on with Iran. So, I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people are going to be hoping for the best for Leader McConnell, but we just don't have a lot of answers right now.
Yeah, still a lot of questions. And you brought up the fact that he's retiring at the end of his term. But could there be a scenario where he might step down even earlier, depending on what we learn? Could that be a realistic scenario, Ryan?
I think it really depends on how this shapes out. I mean, certainly it's always a question of whether somebody should resign effective immediately if they're no longer fit to serve. But Leader McConnell's given no indication he plans on doing that. And of course, we have to see if this was a minor case or a more severe case. And then I think that conversation will be had. But I mean, people talk about this all the time with aging lawmakers. There was a conversation with Dianne Feinstein about whether she should step aside and allow somebody else to take over while she got treatment for her health issues. McConnell has not given any indication that he's planning to do that, and his staff has, defended him and said that he is fit to do the job and he is fit to serve. But of course, this is going to raise more of those questions still.
Yeah, you also bring up a really good point. If you could just kind of go a little more in depth, Senator McConnell has a very critical job there. He's, a very prominent member. He's not just a senator. He is a leading lawmaker there on Capitol Hill. How might that impact, particularly as you were also mentioning, it's a very tenuous time with international politics, also here within the U.S., how that might influence or impact the proceedings in the coming days and even weeks?
We'll definitely have to see how it shapes out. But if he's going to miss any time because of this, I mean, his vote is still key. The vote of a United States senator, especially when the margins are as slim as they are, is always going to be raised into question, because attendance sometimes can make or break whether a bill gets passed or whether things can proceed further. So if he's going to have to take any time off while he's still in office, that's going to be a concern for Republicans. Now, we should probably keep in mind that he has notably been somebody who does not always vote with the Trump administration. He's been probably one of the more fierce critics of the Trump administration amongst current Republican senators. And President Trump has expressed his frustration about Leader McConnell and how he votes or his leadership style in the past. But overall, he still has a tremendous amount of respect from numerous Republicans on Capitol Hill, as he was reelected to be the Senate leader for the Republicans time and time again. His influence definitely is not what it used to be, as he's no longer in those leadership roles that's now taken over by Leader Thune, John Barrasso, and the others who go down the chain. But Leader McConnell still does have a tremendous influence in Republican politics, while it might not be as powerful as it once was. I mean, if he's going to have to miss any time for any reason whatsoever, that's always going to be something that sounds alarms.
Here's how to go from $300 a month on AC.
Okay, that's big news of Mitch there. Now the next 9 minutes.
Press pool basement waiting on potentially Donald Trump to call us up into the Oval Office. We'll see, because something historic just happened that has changed the world forever. President Trump shocking the earth by announcing a peace deal with Iran, a signing date and ceremony in Switzerland, and we were here to witness it all. I think it'll be evolving quickly. Stay tuned. But I watched, as I was getting checked in at the White House about an hour ago, J.D. Vance's motorcade come tearing in here. And I said, yo, J.D. Vance's motorcade is coming in hot. Something big is about to happen. The rumblings is that it's the Iran deal. Stay tuned. Then I made a cheeky post saying that there was white smoke rising from the White House, and that means that an Iran deal has been reached. I didn't actually noticed that 2 doves just flew across the frame there as well. According to tradition, this means a new peace deal has been signed. I was right. I was right, because President Trump signed the peace deal. Here it is. The deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. Congratulations to all. I hereby fully authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz, and simultaneously wherein authorize the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade. Ships of the world, start your engines. Let the oil flow, says Donald Trump. And we're back, baby. And we are back. The deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. And it's over. It's done. There's the actual post. Here it is, confirmed by a third party, the negotiator, a very serious man, the prime minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Shehbaz Sharif is his name. He's the dude who's been negotiating all of this. So what has he done? He's tagged Donald Trump in this post. He says, following intensive talks, we're pleased to announce that the peace deal between the United States and America, Iran and Republic has been reached. Both sides have declared the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon. There's a big problem this morning because Israel started popping off bombs and bombing runs in Lebanon, and it was making the peace deal kind of shaky. But President Trump promised a peace deal today, and here it is. The official signing ceremony will be on Friday, the 19th of June in Switzerland, and that would be this Friday. So you're talking 5 days from now. We get Iranian officials and J.D. Vance, apparently, but Donald Trump will also be in Europe for the G7, so maybe Trump will be there. We would like to thank the United States of America and the Islamic of Iran for their commitment to finding a diplomatic solution, because it was getting messy there, for the conflict. We would like to extend our sincere appreciation to our brothers in the mediation effort. Qatar support in reaching the agreement. I would also especially like to thank the visionary leadership of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Turkey, their immense contribution. With the agreement now in place, mediators will facilitate a series of meetings this week. Their pre-implementation of discussions will lay the foundation for technical talks and the official signing ceremony. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. U.S.-Iran peace deal to end, now in place. Let it flow. Let it flow. Can't take me back to $5 gas anymore. Here we go. Oil collapsing down. You can see here oil obviously spiked up and is the lowest that it's been since the start of the war. Expect this to collapse even lower. Here's what oil's done over the last month at $77. Just a reminder, this is very important. Oil at $65 a barrel, which is $13 away here. $65 a barrel equals $2 gas. Do you understand what we are looking at? We're looking at potentially $2 gas and a record stock market. Here's what the S&P 500, these are just the futures. And this is what it looks like right now. Do you realize what we are staring down the barrel of? We're staring down the barrel of $2 gas for the midterms. The deal is done. President Trump strikes the peace agreement. President Trump stuns the world. It's over.
Arabia, Qatar, and others, Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and others to normalize ties with Israel in the aftermath of Operation Epic Fury. Because again, the vision here for the president is a Middle East where there isn't a constant state of war, but rather opportunity and prosperity for countries across the region. And so it's a significant announcement. Certainly, there is still a lot of work to be done. There is a big difference between signing and implementing a deal. But this is a major first step toward peace in the region.
Correct.
And the president has gotten this deal across the finish line that will now immediately open the Strait of Hormuz, free those vessels that are currently trapped in the Persian Gulf, and now enter into these detailed negotiations on Iran's nuclear Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia.
I mean, again, these are minutes old. This happened minutes ago, President Trump. And I'm at the White House. President Trump posted this at 5:29, and I'm recording this 20 minutes later.
For people who struggle to trim their toenails because of age-related joint stiffness or poor eyesight, you really need to try this latest.
So here we go. U.S. and Iran declared the end of hostilities on Sunday. Pakistani Prime Minister announced the official signing ceremony on Friday, detailed nuclear negotiations to follow. Wow. Pakistani Prime Minister, following the intensive talks, were pleased to announce the deal between the United States of America and Iran. Now, what are the details of the deal? I don't exactly know. I'm not certain. The war is officially over. Yeah, we won. I don't know how else you could possibly frame this as anything other than America winning this conflict. This is all happening. And by the way, man, I was right. I nailed it. I saw Vance coming in. He's probably looking at my tweet right now. Vance captured walking into the White House in the West Wing. Meanwhile, the White House is straight up hosting UFC tonight on the South Lawn. So how is the internet reacting here? Trump posted himself. The deal is complete. Pakistan says it's done. Trump says it's open. Market's already reacting. Here we go. The deal breaking. Trump says the deal is now complete. What about trust in Trump? Always, says White House Communications Director Stephen Chung. Deal is complete. Deal is done. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. It looks like we're here. Trump has delivered again. And now, one of my favorite things, the tanker tracker. Let's go ahead and look. This is the real live tracking of the Strait of Hormuz and the tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. You can see here. This giant tanker is on the move. It's on the move. You want to see traffic flowing right through this area. This is what you'd want. I don't know, man. I look at you can see the massive bottleneck here in the Persian Gulf. And you can see the bottleneck here on both sides. So we're going to be watching very, very closely to see if these gigantic tankers, you can see here, they're moving through, right? So this is what we're going to be looking for. And again, we're at the White House. This is a historic day. Hopefully the president will call us up and we'll be able to actually listen from President Trump. What should I ask him if I get a chance to ask a question? It was a dodgy day, but it happened. Trust in Trump. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, another update, big update. The next big update, is there a plane crash?
$15.
We're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Sheriff Chad Anderson. I'm the sheriff of Bates County, Missouri. With me is Jarrett Reno. He is the Bates County coroner.
8 minutes.
Today at 11:30 this morning, we had a plane crash on the property of the airport. We are treating that as a mass casualty. We want to be very clear. This is not a commercial airliner that has crashed. It's a local airplane that took off from our local airport. It's been here. It's not something that travels. It's not a commercial airline, and that's important to know. So right now, it's early on. I know you guys have been here for a couple hours. Not a whole lot of questions I can answer as to it's still an investigation. The investigation is going to be handled by the NTSB and the FAA, who the FAA is here on scene. The NTSB is not yet. We're waiting for them to get here and for them to do what they do. So I know you got a million questions. Please, I apologize if I'm not able to answer those. We're still trying to identify family and make notifications. And so we're going to be respectful of that. And but we wanted to give you something before you have to go out and find all your own information. So if you have a few quick questions, again, please forgive me if I can't answer those. And I just can't. So,
Yes, sir, can you confirm the number of people that have passed away? We've heard already, but can you just reconfirm that for us?
I know there's less than 20. How's that? I can't give exact numbers yet, so we're not sure.
And what was this plane doing today? What was it? Skydiving operation? Is that right?
Yes, we believe so.
Okay. And give me, if you don't mind, did the plane take off?
The plane took off, and then at that point, it went down. We're not sure exactly anything beyond that.
How long was it in the air?
I do not know that.
And I know there's family here. How are you consoling family?
So we have brought extra staff in, clergy to be with the family, and they've got a staging point farther down, closer to it. Those numbers are increasing as we stand here and talk. You imagine with multiple people, multiple agencies have responded, from fire departments, from the coroner's office. Multiple coroner's offices have reached out for assistance, and multiple fire departments were on scene along with ambulances. So.
Yeah, with a mass casualty event like this, what are the next steps here? What do you have to do?
So the next steps is we let the NTSB do their investigation with the FAA, in coordination with them. At some point, we'll get the green light to start recovering those families' loved ones and getting them positively identified and then turned over to the family at their wishes.
In May of 2024, there was a skydiving plane crash. Is this the same company? Do we know?
I honestly don't know that at this point.
Can you confirm the company's name?
I honestly don't know who owns the airplane.
Okay. Do you know the tail number at all?
No, sir.
Okay. How do you console family on a day like today?
Okay, that's about it on that. All right, we got a big update on the X2 report about the gas prices. I was telling Flying Eagle about. What do you want?
Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave. This episode 3926 AN. Today's date is June 14th, 2026. And the title of the episode is Right on Schedule, Gas Dropping, Fake News, Inflation Disappearing, Next Phase Coming. Now, debt is exploding and inflation hasn't really cooled off around the world. Countries are quietly moving away from the dollar-based assets, and that's exactly why Bitcoin was created. A fixed supply of 21 million coins, no central bank printing more, no one can dilute it. And now you can hold Bitcoin inside a retirement account with tax advantages that come with an IRA. My Digital Money helps you set up a crypto IRA backed by cold storage, meaning your assets are kept offline and protected from, again, when everything starts to fall apart around you, you don't have jobs. Inflation is completely and utterly out of control. And when I say inflation, I'm talking about the devaluation of the currency. I'm not talking about the shock inflation that we're feeling from Iran, because that is about to go away. And we're already starting to see gas prices come down, but we'll be talking about that in just a sec. And when you look at the UK is terrible right now. And the only thing they can do at this point to stop it is to follow the same path as the United States. But they're not going to do that. And if you actually look at this, Mississippi right now is richer than the UK. Think about that for a second. Mississippi produces more food per person than the UK. And while Mississippians earn about the same on average as Britons, they live in homes more than twice the size and are more likely to own a car, a gun, or a swimming pool. So the first measure of national wealth is nominal GDP. U.S. nominal GDP exceeds 32 trillion compared to the UK's 4.6 trillion. The U.S. population, of course, is much larger at about 340 million, while the population in the UK is approximately around 69.3 million. To compensate for differences in population size, economists use GDP per capita. In 2026, U.S. GDP per capita is nearly 95,000, while in the UK, it's around 53,000. Across measures of economic scale, income, wealth, housing, transportation, infrastructure, and employment, the U.S. numbers compared to the UK were almost laughable. As a result, it seems logical to compare the UK to the largest U.S. state, California, whose population of just over 39 million is about 43% smaller than the UK. And when you look at Mississippi, the unemployment rate among Mississippi's 2.95 million inhabitants is only about 3.6 to 3.9%, whereas in the UK, it's 5%. Mississippi's per capita personal income is about 54,000, marginally higher than that of the UK. Taxes are also lower in Mississippi. The state sales tax is 7%, while the UK's value added tax, VAT, is 20%. People in Mississippi tend to own more consumer goods. Car ownership figures are not even close. There are approximately 757 to 809 vehicles per 1,000 people in Mississippi compared to only 603 per 1,000 in the UK. And when you start to look at this, you can see as the UK continually follows the track of the deep state, of the central bank, of the Greenwood scam, their entire economic system is going to start to fall apart, and it's going to be pretty darn bad. But again, this is the plan of the central bankers. This was their plan going back to the very, very beginning. It was to basically destroy the manufacturing, destroy everything in these countries, destroy the energy production, and shift everything to China. And you're starting to see it's starting to take a toll on these countries. Now, certain countries, they're now starting to realize, hey, wait a minute, we've been heading in the wrong direction. Maybe we should start drilling for oil again. Actually, this is happening in Norway. And I do believe eventually what's going to happen, all these countries are going to have to start to say, you know something, we can't do this anymore. We have to make a change, which is actually going to put the entire deep state central bank system in flux. Because again, if they're not following the path and then they're looking at the United States, and the United States is becoming much more successful, moving away from the central bank system, the other countries eventually are going to follow along. And this is where the central bank system most likely is going to try to fight back with everything that they have. But when you look at this country, you can see Trump now, he is reversing the regulations, reversing everything the deep state players, central bankers tried to do to destroy this country, to remove industry, remove manufacturing, remove and stop people from creating new businesses. Trump now is bringing the businesses back, making sure that we have businesses in this country. And Trump, he delivered a significant win for America's commercial fishing industry, signing a proclamation that rolled back a bunch of Biden-era restrictions on commercial fishing in the Pacific. The proclamation is titled Restoring American Commercial Fishing in the Pacific. And what does this do? Well, let me just read you this part of it. It says, President of the United States of America, by the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, including Section 301, Title 54, United States Code, hereby proclaim that proclamations 831, 8335, 8337, and 9478 are modified to remove certain monument-based prohibitions on commercial fishing in the island unit of Mariana Trench Marine National Monument, the Mao Zone and Ho Amalu Zone, an area seaward of 50 nautical miles. And you can see what he's doing. He's opening all of this up. So the proclamation allows U.S. flag vessels to fish in these areas, although it does allow non-U.S. flagships to carry trim with x22.com. Trim with x22.com. Head to trimwithx22.com now before the offer expires, or just click the link in the description. They tried to shut everything down because, again, who was fishing? China was fishing. So if you shut it down in the UK, you shut it down here in the United States, in Canada, many other places, what do? You shut down the production of food. Who's handling the production of food? That would be China. Trump now is shifting all of this away from them with everything that he's doing. If you look at the parallel economic system that Trump is setting up right now, it's now going to compete with the central bank system. It's going to compete with China. It's going to compete with every other nation that's out there, especially China, of course. But again, you can see he's doing this on purpose because, again, how do you take the country back? How do you take the economy back from the central bankers? You need to get control over energy. And I do believe this is one of the most important parts of it. And this is why he was out in Iran. Yes, if Iran got a nuclear weapon, would Trump be able to just go in there and free and decentralize the oil? No, he would not, because they would have a nuclear weapon and they would threaten to use the nuclear weapon. And this is why he had to make the move right now. So now he's making a deal. He was able to go into the Strait of Hormuz, remove the oil from the Strait of Hormuz, bring it to market, and the oil price now is coming down. It's coming down dramatically. What do you think is going to happen now when the Strait of Hormuz is open to every single ship? There's no tolls. There's absolutely nothing. There's no nuclear weapon. The fear is completely and utterly gone. Most of their weapons are destroyed. Maybe there's about 17% left at this point. So at this point, there's going to be a deal in place. No cash is going to be sent over there like Obama did. So now Trump is going to say, okay, the oil is decentralized. And eventually, I think what's going to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was in the peace deal, where they're going to join the Abraham Accords, which means the Middle Eastern nations are going to be at peace, which means I do believe the next step is to dismantle OPEC, to allow these states now to drill as much as they want and compete on the market. You open up Russia's market by removing the sanctions. Venezuela, that market has been open. You have Canada, you have the United States, you have the Netherlands, you have all these different places, soon probably the UK. So you're going to see that there's competition everywhere, and fuel prices are going to come way, way down. So when you start to look at this, you can see the U.S. national average gas prices. They have dropped noticeably in recent weeks after peaking in May. And now we could see that they came down to $4.17 because they were around $4.45, $4.50, depends where you were. And now you could see in some places, fuel prices are below $3.60 in some places. But they're hovering around, what, $3.79, $3.75, depending on where you are. Now, of course, California is going to be a lot higher because they have a lot of taxes. Also, they're shipping their oil in from other places because they have removed a lot of the refineries. But I do believe what's going to happen as time goes on, you're going to see gas prices continually drop. And this is right on schedule. It's right before the midterms, and Trump timed this absolutely perfectly. And I do believe what's going to happen at this point in time is that all the inflation and all the articles coming out that Warsh, he's going to have to make a decision to raise the rates because inflation's out of control. Well, all of a sudden, this is going to reverse. That fake news inflation that they've been talking about is all of a sudden going to start to disappear because fuel prices are going to drop quite a bit. And yes, we're already going back to that period of time right before we started the whole entire excursion into Iran. But I do believe fuel prices are going to come down even further than this. I think this is why Trump went into Iran. One of the reasons to decentralize the oil, to decentralize energy, to take it out of the hands of the central bankers, of the deep state players. Because again, if you're going to create a manufacturing powerhouse, you must have control of the energy. So what does this mean? This means that we're going to see energy drop quite a bit as we approach the midterms. I wouldn't be surprised if we see gas prices below $3, maybe around $2.90, $2.80 in some places right before the midterms. And of course, what is this going to do? This is going to drop the prices on food, on deliveries, on airline tickets, you name it. Plus, it's going to give Warsh ammunition to lower the rates. As we have the ECB raising the rates, we're going to be lowering the rates, and we're going to be very, very competitive. Plus, this is going to give a huge boost to automobile manufacturers, the car dealerships, because again, lower the rate, the more buying power the people have. Lower the gas prices, the more buying power the people have. Lower the fuel prices across the world. This puts a big wrench in the EV market for China. Because again, cheaper the energy, people say, well, why would I be going to electric? Because look how cheap the energy is. And you're going to see this is going to be a big problem for China. And as this continually happens, I do believe all of a sudden, those people that were making a lot of money off the oil, because oil went up and people took it from gold, took it from Bitcoin, I do believe we're going to start to see a shift now of that money coming back into gold, that money coming back into Bitcoin. And the fear around the world is going to start to disappear. And I do believe Trump now is paving the way for the next phase. What is the next phase that is coming right now? The next phase is to get control of the energy, which we already have. The next phase is to bring the gold price up. The next phase is to audit the gold in Fort Knox. The next phase is to build the parallel economic system to be so competitive that the central bank can't compete against it. And once we are there, and once we win, of course, the House and the Senate, because that is the next phase, then we can go after the central bank system. Then we can make a move on weaning ourselves off the central bank. Now, I do believe what Trump is going to do, once we have the House and Senate, you're going to start to see him remove a lot of the taxes. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to do it maybe before the midterms. Let's see if we can get that done, but definitely after the midterms, because once he knows he has the House and Senate and he knows he has the patriots in place, that means we can start pushing laws to say, you know what, let's get rid of the income tax for those people making under $100,000. And I do believe this is exactly what he's going to do, because he's going to show the world that we have enough money coming in from the tariff system, coming in from energy sales, coming in from technology sales, coming in from the gold sales, that we have the money to pay the interest on the money that we borrowed. Now, remember, the money that we borrowed, I do believe this is going to be most likely removed, a lot of it, because again, there's been a rebellion against the United States going on for quite a while, which means I don't believe we have to pay back this debt. Plus, if there's fraud that is involved, which we all know there is, fraud vitiates pretty much everything. So as we go into the second part of Trump's presidential term, we're going to start to see him accelerate his plan and really start to make moves, because once you have control, once you have people on your side, you can move pretty darn quickly. I mean, think about it. Just think about the agencies where Trump put his people into place. All of a sudden, FBI is arresting people. All of a sudden, DOJ has grand juries impaneled. All of a sudden, we have the ODNI releasing information about COVID. So that's moving pretty darn fast. Once we have control of the House and Senate, things are going to really accelerate in a way that nobody has ever seen. And I do believe Trump will have the power then to go after the central bank. Remember, the central bank, they rely on those people that they installed into the House and the Senate to protect them. Once that protection is gone, well, all bets are off at this point. And I do believe we're going to see things that I don't think anyone could ever imagine. Taxes disappearing, property taxes disappearing, the government being funded by a tariff system. I mean, you have to go way, way back in time, way before 1913 to actually to see this. So I do believe this is where all of this is going, and this is why Trump is doing it. And I think when it's all said and done, we're going to see fuel prices probably around $1 or even under that. Because as we start to pay everything back, all of a sudden inflation starts to disappear and your buying power comes back. And I think what people are going to see is how much of the buying power was actually stolen from us over this long period of time. Because when it's returned to you, people will go, holy moly, look at this. Look how much more buying power we have. We can actually produce a penny again. I can go into a store and look, I can fill up the cart with groceries. And it was under $100. This is absolutely amazing. I remember going back a little bit in time, man. I think maybe some people can remember that. When you went into the supermarket back in the 70s, you were able to fill up carts with food, and it wasn't that expensive because your buying power was there. You had this buying power, and it enabled you to purchase these items. Today, it's not that way, but I think it's all going to return, and I think we're heading into the next phase. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
Okay, that's another good report there. Chico. I can't play that one. I'll get another one. Did someone say a lion in chat?
wonder if they are truly seen or known.
Number 5.
The words you're about to hear are inspired by passages throughout the Bible that reveal the character of God, his loving Father, Creator, and Shepherd. This is a reflection designed to help you hear a reminder of God's heart toward you in a personal and meaningful way. Psalm 139, verse 1. My precious child, you may not know me, but I know everything about you. I have always known you completely. I see when you rest and when you begin your day. I understand every path you take and every step you make. Matthew 10:30. Even the number of hairs on your head is known to me.
All right.
Genesis 1:27. I created you to reflect my image in my heart. Acts 17:28. Your life is sustained by me. Every breath and every movement depends on my presence. For you are my offspring, you are mine, and your life has its source in me. Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed you in the womb, I already knew you and set my love
Thanks,
upon you.
David.
Ephesians 1:11. Long before creation, I chose you as part of my purpose. Psalm 139:15. Your life is not an accident. Every one of your days are written in my book. Acts 17:26. I appointed the time of your birth and the place you would call home. Psalm 139:14. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, wonderfully crafted by my hands. I formed you carefully within your mother's womb. Psalm 71:6. From the day you were born, my hand has upheld you. John 8:41. Many have spoken of me without truly knowing my heart and misrepresented who I am. 1 John 4:16. My nature is love. I am not distant and angry, but the complete expression of love. 1 John 3:1. I delight in calling you my beloved child. Matthew 7:11. My desire is to pour out blessings upon you and offer you more than your earthly father ever could. Matthew 5:48. I am the perfect father. James 1:17. Every good thing in your life has come from my generous hand. Matthew 6:31. I know what you need, and I will faithfully provide. Jeremiah 29. My plans for your future are filled with hope and purpose. Jeremiah 31:3. Because I love you with an everlasting love. Psalm 139:17-18. My thoughts towards you are more numerous than the grains of sand. Jeremiah 32:40. I will never cease doing what is good for you. Exodus 19:5. For you are my treasured possession. With all my heart, I desire to establish you.
Okay.
In a world filled with...
That was a short one there. We got another cute... We had a good show on the first one, Kim. Oh. I think I'm getting tired.
The same kind that have measured highway and airport noise for decades. NASA. Highway and airport noise for decades. NASA isn't trying to measure sound. NASA is measuring how people feel about sound on the same scale every commercial airport in the country already uses for noise certification. If enough Americans answer some version of nothing worth mentioning, The FAA has what they need to rewrite 14 CFR 91.817, the 1973 regulation that bans civilian supersonic flight over American land, and the reason you can't fly from New York to Los Angeles in under 3 hours. Concorde was allowed transatlantic only because the boom hit the ocean. Every other supersonic project of the last 50 years has run aground on that one rule. He's still in the holding pattern over the Mojave. The chase plane hasn't moved off his wing. The airplane keeps making the data. The political machinery to lift the ban is already moving. An executive order, a bill through the House, but executive orders don't replace data. The FAA needs a number measured over real American neighborhoods, validated and impossible to argue with. The X-59 is the only thing on Earth that can produce that number. And the answer those neighborhoods give NASA might be worth more than every dollar and every year this program has cost combined. Or it might be worth nothing at all. Either way, the X-59 is the only thing on Earth that can produce that answer. The flight pattern he's holding over the Mojave isn't aimless. Larson is running through the in-flight system checks NASA needs before any of the future testing can start. Avionics performance, handling characteristics at low speed, control surface response, the XVS in actual flight rather than simulation. 60 data streams pumping 20,000 parameters down to engineers on the ground in real time. Every voltage, every angle, every system, all of it visible the second the airplane does anything. The airplane is talking. The engineers are listening. 40 minutes of test cards over the desert, the chase plane shadowing him the entire time, and an F-15 pilot calling out airframe condition over radio while NASA's telemetry rig pulls every measurement into the feed. Everything works. Now it's time to test. Larson takes the airplane higher the next flight, and higher still the one after. The first weeks of envelope expansion creep upward in increments small enough that nothing the engineers see surprises them. Mach 0.5, Mach 0.7, Mach 0.85. The flights pile up in pairs. 2 test sorties some days, each one verifying a piece of the airframe nobody has flown before. The chase plane follows on every sortie. The data pours back to Armstrong every time the airplane leaves the apron. The airframe never gives anyone a reason to slow down. Here is what NASA expects to happen the day this airplane finally goes supersonic. The X-59 climbs through 50,000 feet over the Mojave Desert. The cockpit is quiet. The pilot is watching the same screen he's watched the maiden flight through. Half a mile off his left wing, an instrumented F-15 holds station. A separate aircraft purpose-built to fly into the X-59 shockwave cone and photograph the wave pattern from inches away before the individual shockwaves have a chance to merge. NASA calls it Schlieren imaging. The F-15 is the only camera platform on Earth that can capture what's about to happen. Schlieren imaging works because light bends when it passes through air of different densities. The same shimmer you see rising off hot asphalt in July. A shockwave is just an extremely sharp version of that density gradient. Point a high-speed camera at a bright contrasting background. The disk of the sun works best. And the shockwaves passing between the camera and the background bend the sunlight enough to show up as ripples on the image. NASA borrowed the playbook from environmental noise studies. The same thing.
Okay, that was a good one there. I got another one that's similar. We'll do short videos now.
Pattern. It means the normal rules have been suspended. Normally weather moves. A system comes, it does its thing, it slides off to the east, and the next day is different. That is the version of weather we're all used to. But every so often, the big rivers of air high above our heads stop behaving like a river and start behaving like a wall. They dig in, they anchor, and once they anchor, every little disturbance that comes along gets funneled down the exact same track, like cars forced through the exact same toll booth, one after another after another. That is what a stuck pattern does. It takes what would normally be one bad day, and it turns it into a sequence, a regime, a stretch. And the danger of a regime is not just that it is more total weather, it is that it stacks. The first round of storms saturates the ground and rips down a few trees and softens everything up. The second round hits ground that is already soaked, hits people who are already tired, hits power crews who are already stretched thin, hits a warning system that people have already half started to ignore because the sirens went off yesterday and they were fine. By the third round, the whole system, the human system, the part that is supposed to keep us safe, is fraying. That is how a multi-day pattern hurts people. Not with one impossible storm, but with relentless, grinding repetition that wears down every defense we have. Let me make that concrete, because it is easy to say the word repetition and miss what it actually feels like. Imagine you live in a town in southern Wisconsin. On the first day, the sky turns an ugly shade of green in the afternoon. The sirens go off, you put the kids in the basement, and a line of wind comes through and takes down the big silver maple in the front yard and knocks the power out for 6 hours. You spend that evening by candlelight, a little shaken, telling yourself you got lucky. The next morning, you're dragging branches to the curb when your phone buzzes again, because the same setup is reloading for round 2, and the crews who are supposed to restore your power are now being pulled to the next county. By the third day, you're running on no sleep. Your basement still smells like the last storm, and a dangerous little part of you has started to think the warnings are just noise. That is the texture of a regime. It is not one terrifying hour. It is a slow grind that hollows out your readiness at the exact moment you need it most. Here is another way to think about the difference, because it really is the whole game. A single storm is one punch. You can see it coming, you can brace for it, you can take it and recover. A regime is a boxer throwing a combination. The first punch is not meant to end the fight. It is meant to move your guard, to set up the second, which sets up the third. The danger is not in any one blow. It is in the rhythm, the way each one lands while you're still reacting to the last. The atmosphere over the middle of the country is not winding up for one big haymaker this week. It is throwing a combination, and it has the stamina to keep throwing for days. And I keep coming back to the calendar, because the calendar is part of the danger this time. Ask almost anyone when tornado season is, and they will tell you spring, April, May, the time of year when the television cuts to the meteorologist standing in front of a wall of red, and everyone knows to take it seriously. By the second week of June, that cultural alarm has quietly switched off. The graduation parties are happening, the pools are open, the mental file labelled severe weather has been closed for the season. So when an outbreak carrying the ingredients of a spring event shows up now, it is not just meeting an atmosphere that is primed, it is meeting a public that has stopped watching. That gap, the space between how dangerous the sky actually is and how dangerous people assume it is exactly where the worst outcomes live. Closing that gap for you, right now, is the entire reason I'm making this video. I want to give you a sense of just how unusual it is for forecasters to draw an enhanced risk 2 days in a row in the middle of June. The enhanced risk is the third rung on a 5-rung ladder, and it is not a label they hand out casually, because issuing it means they have real confidence that numerous severe storms, not just a stray one, are going to materialize. Getting that label for 1 day is a serious day. Getting it 2 days running, over nearly the same ground, with the honest admission that the ceiling could climb even higher, is the kind of thing that makes veteran forecasters lean toward their screens and start quietly cancelling their own plans. They are not inflating this. They are telling you, in the most measured language their system allows, that the next 48 hours have the potential to be genuinely historic for this part of the country. So I'm not asking you to panic. Panic is useless, and I will never trade in it on this channel. So what does...
Okay, that was pretty good, I thought. 4-1. This one had a lot of views on it.
Villages across the kingdom have reported attacks overnight. Authorities have not yet provided answers.
Has anyone seen my son? Please tell me someone has seen him.
We're still searching. Nobody knows where they went.
Please help us. They took so many.
Stay calm. We'll secure the area.
Look at this. This is what they gave us.
It's not enough.
How are we supposed to protect anyone?
Reports are now coming from the western region. A military outpost faced significant challenges. Meanwhile, many citizens are asking important questions, are calling for clearer answers.
The pleasure is mine.
A pleasure doing business. Our partnership will be very profitable.
For both of us.
Another successful week.
Very successful.
The numbers look excellent.
Better than expected.
I have a question. Where did the military budget go? Why are our soldiers under-equipped? Why is nobody answering, Mr. President? The people deserve answers. We must demand what is ours.
He's saying what everyone is thinking.
Finally.
Someone had to ask.
Now let's see who answers.
Look at this. Everyone's watching it.
Everyone's watching it.
It's everywhere.
Who's here at this hour? Open the door.
Has anyone seen him?
He isn't answering.
Something feels wrong.
Where is Honey Badger? Why hasn't anyone explained anything?
We deserve answers.
Where is Honey Badger? Is Honey Badger?
Sir, the questions are getting louder. The public is demanding answers.
Are they?
Yes, sir.
Prepare support payments.
How much?
50 coins and a small bag of rice for each affected family.
Immediately, sir.
And prepare my speech. My fellow animals, I hear you. I understand your fears. We will reassure you, and we will not rest until peace returns. Maybe things will finally change.
I hope so.
At least he's saying something.
Together, we will build a new dawn. That was a powerful speech. Thank you. Do you think they believed it?
The people deserve better. The questions are getting louder, and sooner or later, someone will answer them.
Good evening.
That had over 4,000 views, you guys. Okay, we got... We got some Apple. I thought these would be cool to play.
$1 million experimental aircraft. Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works built it to do something every other supersonic airplane on Earth has been banned from doing for the last 53 years. NASA pilot Nils Larson is about to put it to the test. If this airplane works, the FAA tears up a regulation that has grounded supersonic flight over American soil for half a century, and a New York to LA flight in under 3 hours stops being science fiction. If it doesn't, NASA just spent $632 million proving the ban was right. Nobody on the ground at Plant 42 this morning knows which one they're about to watch. The brakes release. 15 tons of experimental aircraft starts rolling forward across the apron at Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works facility as the pilot watches the taxiway through a video monitor, mounted exactly where the windshield would be on any other aircraft. The camera generating that picture sits bolted to the upper surface of the nose, 8 feet ahead of his face, pointed straight down the center line. What you see here is something called the External Vision System, which is NASA's polite way of describing what is essentially a television. 2 4K cameras feed a display inside the cockpit. The field of view runs 33 by 19 degrees. Collins Aerospace built the hardware, and NASA tested the system for years on a King Air at Langley before it ever got bolted onto a real airplane. Larson has been flying it in a simulator since 2018. The team that built it spent that same period of time eliminating every millisecond of lag they could find between the camera shutter and the monitor refresh. Because at landing speed, even a fraction of a second of delay is the difference between greasing it on and cratering it on the runway. The number they were chasing is under 20 milliseconds end to end. 20 milliseconds is roughly the time it takes the human eye to register that a light is turned on. A live sports broadcast runs at 5 times that delay, and nobody watching it at home can tell. A pilot rounding out a flare at 200 miles an hour can. 20 milliseconds is the line between watching the world and watching a recording of the world. The X-59 does have side windows, by the way. 2 of them, contoured to the airframe, offering a partial view down each side of the nose. They're useful for situational awareness on the ground. They're not useful for landing an aircraft at 200 miles per hour. The screen is. Every pilot in the program has asked the obvious question. What happens if the screen fails mid-flight? The honest answer is that nobody wants to find out, which is why NASA engineered the XVS with the redundancy most fighter cockpits don't approach. Backup cameras, backup processors, a separate display feed. He's trained for partial XVS failure in the simulator dozens of times. He'd rather not find out for real. What Larson doesn't know yet, sitting on the apron at Plant 42, is that the screen in front of him is the least controversial part of the airplane he's about to fly. But here's the part most people don't immediately understand about the XVS. It isn't a walk-around. It's not NASA's clever solution to a design problem. It's actually the entire point of the design. Because the reason there's no windshield is sitting right out in front of the cockpit. This is the X-59, NASA's $632 million experimental aircraft. Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works built it to do something every other supersonic airplane on Earth has been banned from doing for the last 53 years. NASA pilot Nils Larson is about to put it.
Was that good to share, David, on that one? Okay, let's do the second Q video. We got a second Q.
Capture high quality audio and video.
What's up, family? Welcome back to Out of the Darkness. I am Q. So I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Sometimes you have to measure the level of effectiveness of a Trump policy or a Trump move by the level of outrage coming from the mainstream media. If the level of outrage is over the top, then you know it is an effective move by the Trump administration. Okay, so right now we're talking about the secret message behind the UFC 250 that's going on this evening. Now, for whatever reason, it's America's 250th birthday. This is a country that never was supposed to be. A country that was divinely founded, okay? A Christian nation, the first of its kind in world history, with a government type, a democratic republic that was an experiment that should have never made it this far. We beat incredible odds to get here. So for us to still be standing after all of the trials and tribulations that we've faced as a nation, to still be standing is worth celebrating. It is one of God's marvels and one of God's amazing blessings that the United States is still here. The greatest nation on earth. And I will say it again for the people in the back. The greatest nation on earth. If that offends you, shut this off immediately. So let me get into this really quick. So we see UFC 250, and what is everyone in the media saying right now? They're yelling and screaming, oh my goodness, he's turning the White House into a circus. All of these people at the White House, and oh, look at all the lights and the stadium and the pomp and the circumstance that's taking place just for the 250th birthday or the 250th day or year of our country. Why is he doing this? This is a circus. And they're using this word over and over again. This is what Trump is doing. Trump is giving the people's house back to them. He is giving the country back to the people. When January 6th took place, it was an outrage to the political and to the elites because they could not believe that the people had the nerve to come into their house, to come into the house of the elites. The commoners were willing to breach the gates in their own.
Yeah, I'll just say thanks for your service. And I got two nephews in the Army. One's been over 10 years. The other one's been about 10 years. One's a pilot. He flies those Blackhawks helicopters, and he's stationed in Hawaii. He's going to be getting out in February. He was a sniper also. And my other nephew is a soldier in the front line. They're stationed in Kansas City.
Own words, their own mind, and come and try to inflict their will. Now, first and foremost, that is the people's house. The people are the boss. The people built that place. The people keep the lights on. The people sent the representatives there. Essentially, your bosses showed up and said, this is what we expect you to do. That's the way that I interpret January 6th. But the reason why people were frustrated is because the people and the employees, which are those that are in Congress, the representatives, there's been a rift put between. And somehow they feel that they know better than the people. So Donald Trump has said, yes, now we are going to take the people's house and we are going to hold one of the greatest sporting events ever had on the people's lawn. And we are going to invite the common folk. We are going to invite middle America. We are going to invite everyone to enjoy this spectacle. And I couldn't be more happy about it. And the reason they're so upset is because that place is supposed to be reserved for the elites. And for the common people to be there is something that they cannot believe and or stand, because they think that we are reprehensible. We are deplorable, as Hillary Clinton famously said. And Donald Trump is saying, no, this is the people's house. Of course they are welcome here. This is the common man's place. Of course they are welcome here. Donald Trump has understood this from the beginning. The people are the boss. He works for us. Let me know what you guys think about this. This is my interpretation.
Okay, we got two in the queue today. He's back from time off. I got a late one from last night, a cat lady, that I got a few more short ones. Yeah. Oh. Must be this one. What is it? Let's play this 2.5 one.
Because beneath the alien storyline, there's an even deeper message that Christians need to pay attention to. And fair warning, there's spoilers ahead, so keep scrolling if you haven't seen it. The movie is not just about aliens, it's about preparing people to see these things as humanity's next saviors. And what really caught my attention was this religious element that they try to weave within the story. You have these nuns embracing these entities as something humanity should welcome. But as a Christian, the Bible repeatedly warns us that not every supernatural encounter comes from God. In Genesis 6, in the book of Enoch, we read about these fallen beings who descended to earth and gave humanity this forbidden knowledge that ultimately corrupted mankind. What was God's response to that? It wasn't celebration, it was judgment. So when I see these things in Hollywood presenting supernatural entities as these enlightened guides here to help humanity evolve, I can't help but think about this connection. We are living in a time where governments are increasingly discussing unexplained aerial phenomena. Information that in the past used to be laughed at is now openly discussed. What if the greatest deception isn't convincing people that aliens exist, but it's convincing people that they are here to help us? I recently made a reel about this UAP in Colombia where this woman was thanking this UFO for its presence. We are already seeing people emotionally connect with this phenomena. And now Hollywood is giving us stories that encourage us to do the exact same thing. The Bible says that Satan masquerades as an angel of light, not something terrifying, something helpful, something people would gladly embrace. Christians, we need discernment more than ever now, because if we are not grounded in truth, we may end up celebrating the very deception Scripture has warned us about.
That's a new lady I found there. And this is from last night, you guys.
If you are a delivery driver and you look kind of like me, as in you're not purple and you're not green, but you're my color, they will be tired. They will be tired because they're going to have their stories. Okay, we have lots and lots of stories. We see things that make you want to claw your own eyes out. The worst thing, though, is the financial thing. When someone doesn't tip and they live in a terrible area, an area so bad that you have to keep your head on a swivel because you're worried the whole time you're going to get your car stolen or you are going to be unalive.
I haven't seen it come out yet tonight.
And when you go to the door with their groceries that you shopped and they come to the door and they look at you and they tell you they want you to stand there while they go through each bag to make sure you didn't take nothing. They don't say make sure you don't take nothing, but obviously, I mean, you shop the order. And when they open up the door and the smell of is so strong that it flows out the door and then you are for the next 10 minutes, but they can't throw you $1. They're living in a subsidized apartment, driving a nice car, getting free power, and just bought the groceries with their EBT card. Now, hopefully I've said this in a way that is not offensive to anybody or doesn't upset TikTok's little liberal feelings. Hopefully I have said that. Then they call on you and they make shit up so that they can get a refund or get their order for free. You know, just the other night I had this happen. I shopped an order, 9:30 at night, drive to Walmart, get the order, drive it out to the bad area. They get 60,000 notifications. You're shopping it, you're there, you're packing it, you're driving up, you're pulling up, you just left it. They get a photo. All that. I get a call today from the delivery company saying they said they didn't get their order. You never showed up. Oh, I showed up because I had to drive through about 16 men on the street, and I was worried about getting out of my car. So anyway, that's my story. Show me a delivery driver that looks like me, and I'll show you somebody so tired. Okay? Let's see. Will this stay?
That's sad what she's going through, you guys. I wish somebody could help her. Ah. About 4 minutes.
The invasion began at 09 UTC. That alone should have been a warning. The Krell Dominion arrived in force. 6,000 warships tearing open Earth's orbit in a synchronized arrival that lit the sky like a second sunrise. Cities across the planet froze as shadows passed overhead. Satellites went dark. Communications scrambled. The Krell broadcast their ultimatum immediately. Earth, you are hereby annexed. Lay down your weapons. Resistance will be brief. Their intelligence was flawless. That was the problem. Earth's governments had been arguing for decades. Militaries competed instead of unified. Humanity had never presented a single front. The Krell expected panic. They expected chaos. They expected surrender. Instead, they got silence. For exactly 90 seconds. Then every military channel on Earth went live at once. No speeches, no bravado, no threats, just a single global directive. Condition red. Non-human hostile confirmed. Rules of engagement lifted. That was all. At 0907, the first Krell landing craft touched down outside what had once been a quiet rural zone. Their soldiers disembarked confidently, towering, armored, biologically engineered for war. They expected resistance from nearby cities. Instead, they found empty roads, abandoned towns, silence. The Krell commander frowned. "Where are their civilians?" A subordinate answered carefully. "Evacuated, sir, underground." The commander scoffed. "They hide." That was mistake number 2. At 0912, the first Krell patrol vanished. No explosion, no distress call, just gone. Thermal imaging showed nothing. Motion sensors showed nothing. Then something hit their rear guard. Not energy weapons, not plasma. Mass.
Something heavy slammed into the Krell formation from above, shattering armor and bodies alike. The survivors barely had time to register movement before the forest itself seemed to attack them. Humans didn't shout. They didn't charge. They hunted. At 0924, Krell Orbital Command noticed something disturbing. Human anti-aircraft fire wasn't targeting ships. It was targeting sensors. Precision strikes shredded optics, communications arrays, navigation nodes. The Krell had ships, but they were blind. At 0941, the first Krell cruiser fell. No alien had believed it possible. A human rail projectile, fired from the surface, punched clean through the ship's engine core. The cruiser didn't explode. It simply stopped existing. The debris burned harmlessly in the atmosphere. Human Command marked the strike as test successful. At 10:03, Krell cyber warfare units attempted to seize Earth's networks. They were confident. Humans used open systems, primitive security. They breached global infrastructure in seconds. Then their systems began reporting something wrong. Human networks weren't defending. They were observing. Every intrusion was tracked. Every line of attack mapped. At 10:07, the Krell cyber fleet went offline, simultaneously. A human message appeared on every Krell display. We noticed. At 10:22, human drones filled the skies. Not sleek, not elegant, cheap, thousands of them. Aliens invaded Earth and begged for mercy 3 hours later. The invasion began at 09 WTC.
Okay, I got a 5-minute one. It's going to be the last one, you guys. 5 minutes. This is another interesting one.
He just wanted to watch a masterpiece being made. He attached 2 highly confidential internal documents, including a Word file detailing Valve's private E3 strategy, just to prove he wasn't lying. And then, in a follow-up, he asked Gabe Newell for a job. He literally wrote, "I'd like to ask, you don't happen to search a programmer security specialist which recently lost his job?" And he signed off with, "Well, I really hope you hire me. I'm no bad guy, just a little misguided," followed by a smiley face emoticon. He was 21. He was the architect of one of the most destructive botnets on the early internet, and he genuinely thought his idol was going to fly him out and put him on payroll. Gabe Newell forwarded the email to the FBI, and what happened next is one of the great stings in tech history. Newell wrote back, feigning admiration. He said, "Were you kidding about working here? You certainly impressed us with your skills. We've hired a lot of people from the community, and I guess in a funny way this would be more of the same." He proposed bringing Gemb on as an in-house security auditor to patch the very vulnerabilities he'd exploited. Gemby, blinded by hero worship and his own ego, said yes immediately. On March 26, 2004, at 11:13 a.m. Pacific Time, Gemb sat down in his bedroom in Chino for what he believed was a 40-minute job interview phone call with senior Valve engineers. Newell himself stayed off the call to avoid any emotional outbursts, and over those 40 minutes, Gemb, eager to impress the people he idolized, walked Valve through a step-by-step technical confession of the entire breach: the AXFAR transfer, the Tangis server, the null session. He gave them the full architecture of Agobot. He even offered Valve advice on how to improve their network security. He hung up the phone, genuinely believing he'd just nailed an interview. The Valve team, shaking, immediately turned the recording over to the FBI. Then Valve and the FBI offered Gemb the bait, an all-expenses-paid trip to Bellevue, Washington, for an in-person interview. Gemb was thrilled. He even asked Newell if he could bring his brother and his father along to tour the studio. The plan was straightforward. The moment he stepped off the plane at SeaTac Airport, FBI agents would arrest him. Under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, he was looking at potentially decades in federal prison. But here's where it falls apart. To issue Gemby a travel visa, the FBI had to coordinate with the German government. And the German government, when briefed on the plan, was livid. They considered it diplomatically unacceptable to lure a sovereign citizen out of his own country under false pretenses just to incarcerate him in a foreign jurisdiction. So Germany did the only thing they could to retain control. They preempted. On the morning of May 7, 2004, at 6 in the morning, Axel Jem woke up in his bedroom in Chenot to find it surrounded by heavily armed members of the German LKA cybercrime unit. To make matters worse, the police had originally raided him under the suspicion that he was connected to Sven Yashan, the creator of the Sasser worm, which was simultaneously ravaging European networks. So when Jem groggily walked to the kitchen and picked up a knife to cut himself a slice of bread, multiple officers raised rifles to his head. He very calmly put the knife down. They confirmed he was the Valve hacker, not the Sasser guy. They let him have a coffee and a cigarette, and then they took him into custody. He realized, sitting in that interrogation room, that the job offer had never been real. He was held for 2 weeks, then released on the condition that he report to the police station 3 times a week. Now, this is where Jembe got incredibly lucky, because if he'd ever made it onto American soil, he would have been prosecuted under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, with a sentence likely measured in decades. Instead, in November 2006, he was tried in Germany. And the German legal system heavily prioritizes rehabilitation over punishment. The judge looked at his difficult childhood, his complete cooperation with authorities, the fact that someone else had actually leaked the code to BitTorrent, and the basis. He claimed he...
Okay, that was a new one there. Thought that was something to learn on. Okay, guys, I'm getting tired. I did the best I could. Long day of intel. Stand by from here on out, you guys, till the 4th of July. So each day will be a different day. See how things go. If anything happens, I'll be on. Hope everyone had a good weekend. No. Thanks, Mods, Triangle, Gay Girl Tim, Lucy. And we'll see how things go. See what happens. God bless everybody. Love all. And please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith, and never give up. Signing off. Chico Dude for another long day of intel. Everyone have a good work week, and hopefully something will happen for us. And great support today on the channel. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.